All right, and good morning, pro traders. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, depending on where you're joining us from in the world. This is, of course, your host, Christopher Guzman, joining you live for another KickStart Pro morning session. Before we get started, first of all, happy Monday, everybody. Today is Monday, the 8th of June, 2020. And before we get started, let's go ahead and do a quick audio and visual check. If you can hear my voice and see the screen without issue, please do let me know with a Y or a yes in your chat box so that we can begin. All right, fantastic. Morning, John. Morning, Robin. Good morning, everybody. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So, I'm just having a quick scan through here. Pound CAD looks like it could potentially be giving me a nice little short-term sell signal. So I'm going to take a look at that. Take a quick look at that. Let's see here. Elsewhere, looks like pound dollar is operating off of an existing sell signal, and there may be a continuation of that that's being signaled currently. So I'll take a look there as well. And then elsewhere, there's things to talk about, but not as pressing. So let me go ahead and start off with pound CAD this morning. Hey, good morning, Bobby. Good morning, my friend. Good morning and welcome. How are you? Hope everyone is doing well. Keeping safe out there. Right, so on pound CAD, okay, we have a down capital AB boundary. We've got less than a 38.2% to the upside there. And hold on. Actually, that's a sub, isn't it? Yeah, that's a sub because this is the capital right here. Here we go. Sorry. So this is the capital right here. Capital down A, B with a maximum 69.4% at 177.98. So, I mean, I'm ultimately bearish on this to 164.22 anyway. And then in terms of the subs, look here. See, now I need to clean this up a little bit as well, right? So I say all the time that I like clean charts, right? I don't like messy charts. This is why, because got a few things going on here, and need to be able to see what's what. So let's go ahead and just clean this up a little bit. So I'm just going to get rid of the lines I don't need any further. Okay, the lines that, at the time obviously had significance, but now no longer do. Right, those are the ones I want to get rid of. And I'm essentially just cleaning up the noise, right? That's all I'm doing. Now, hang on. Did I get rid of today? Okay. Got rid of the wrong line. Hang on. There we go. I just want to lock that in just to see, what it is that I'm looking at there, because obviously there's a deeper point here. So let's go back over here. So down capital AB boundary. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this off actually, okay? So we get a really clear sense of what's going on here. So down capital AB boundary. I've got my A at 18051 and the last digit 6 to be completely accurate. Okay, so 80516. And this is my capital, capital down a boundary. Okay, capital down a boundary. Go ahead and change that to white as well. This way, so, I just want to clear this up just so we can see this a bit better, because this is getting a little bit chaotic, right? We need to make sense of what's happening here. So it's worth the investment, especially, it's a Monday morning, start to the week. It's worth the little extra investment of time to just go ahead and, clean this up a little bit, right? Because then for the rest of the week, I don't have to worry, right? I know I've already done that on Monday. So the B here is 169.20, last digit 1 to be exact. So 169.201 to be precise. And this is, of course, my capital down B boundary. Okay, and then in here, this is where I need to clean this up. So this is the sub AB boundary, obviously. And that's why this maximum sub 61.8% is there. Right? Because that was, at one point, that was the maximum retracement in the subfib. It obviously came down a lot deeper than that. Not enough, though, to take out that sub A. So the sub A is at 166.92, right? So 166.92. So not enough to take out the sub A, but certainly enough that it's obviously a deeper pullback. I reckon at a minimum 786, probably even a. Actually, looking at that, that's probably more like an 86% pullback that we're looking at there, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and move this down, and then I'll go back and see exactly which retracement level I'm at. All right, so grab this here. There we are. Okay, so let's go back and see. So just quickly, let's come back over here. There's my sub A. Okay, so obviously, yeah, so this came back to 78.6% sub retracement, which is exactly what I had said, right? I said about 786, if not an 86, then certainly a 78.6. And so I'm going to go ahead and change this now. This is a maximum, instead of a sub 61.8%, this is now a maximum sub 78.6%. And then in terms of the sub target, I want to see, because obviously, we're not done here yet in terms of telling the whole story. There's more to tell here, right? There's more to tell. But we got to take it one step at a time. So the sub 127 extension, as I can see it, is 177.03. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a line and move it to 177.03. 32 to be precise. And this is the anticipated sub 127. Okay, and so from here, now I can see in here, there's a couple of additional little fibs that don't need to be there anymore, little subfibs that don't need to be there anymore. So I can get rid of that, right? I need to figure out what's going on with this fib right here. So, because there's the anticipated sub 127, and that looks like a down sub, right? So this is my 69.4 to 144. Okay, perfect. So this fib I no longer need, right? So I can get rid of that. This is my sub now. And then right here, So this is the most recent sub-fib. Great. So we're getting a lot closer now, guys, to getting a better sense of what's going on here. Last thing I want to do is just come in and clean up some of these additional trend lines that, again, are no longer needed. At one point, they served as a level of significance, but now, we don't really care so much about them. And then some of these trend lines need updating, right? Like, so for example, this downtrend line in here, this inner downtrend line, obviously has been broken. And you can see what happened here was the market, broke, tested, and ultimately, what did this level act as? Well, it acted predictably as a level of support, right? Past resistance becomes future support. And you can see how the market has struggled to get below that level again since testing, right? So this is still the lowest low, which means this is still a valid trend line, which means it needs updating, like so. And then this trend line in here, it's still valid, actually. It's still valid, and you can see it's broken as well, but you can see how this acted as resistance as well, right? Gave a good level of resistance. So now, let me go ahead and change this, but then I want to see in terms of this morning's movement, because, we've cleaned everything else up. We have a good sense of what's going on. Ultimately, it's a down AB. But in true Canadian pair fashion, we're just going sideways for a while, right? And that's what the sub point is too as well. So that's the longer term. In the shorter term, obviously, what I can see here, first of all, we have a level of commonality. We have where support became resistance, right? And so we actually have an upward channel right here. And then as I'm getting closer, I already know I'm looking at an existing sell signal, right? That's the reason I started looking at this in the first place. But as I'm getting closer, I can actually see that the signal itself, while it's developing, it hasn't actually yet developed, right? Now, there is, more consolidation. So the thing about CAD pairs, right, is if you look, the more you look at them, the more you can find consolidation, right? That's because Canadian crosses tend to like to be really, really range bound, right? It's just the nature of the cross. That's, that's how it behaves. And so, I mean, you can look, like, for example, I'm going to drop this down a little bit here, but you can look and find consolidation ranges within consolidation ranges, right? So, I mean, up at resistance, we can see we're up at resistance. We can see the biases to the downside here. We can see the MACD is already calling this. The MACD is already like, hey, come on, let's go. Train's leaving the station here. But out in the field, our T3s aren't so convinced. We very nearly had a spinning top on the previous candle here, but that's just a regular old doji, because obviously the body of the candle there does not fall dead center by the close of the candle, so it's obviously not a spinning top. And so in this case, what we do have, though, is we do have additional signals, right? So, like I say, the MACD is giving the signal. Out in the field, I don't quite have the signal yet, but utilizing other strategies, I do have signals as well. For example, a counter trend line break strategy, right? That's a counter trend line break because we have a minimum 1, 2, 3, and then in here we have, you can even do a secondary one. We have a minimum 1, 2, 3, 4. Bullish candles, which means we can come in with the trend line, the counter trend line, and then that break is a selling opportunity here, obviously. Now, there is something to look out for. So, whenever we see the market attempting to create a spinning top, or getting close to creating a spinning top, that can tend to mean that there's a spinning top nearby. Okay, spinning tops tend to attract two other spinning tops. And to that end, I can point to 3 of them for you. This is one. So I'll point them out for you. This is one. You can see we're at support right now. This is the top of the range, resistance in the range. You see? There's one. There's 2, which you can see also gives a very similar range. And you can see the market, what's fascinating about these guys is that, the market, it takes a lot for the market to actually break out of them, as you can see. Even as you can see where the market's attempting to, what's happening? It's coming right back to familiar places, right? And then in here, this is spinning top number 3. Okay, this is spinning top number 3 that I can see. So can everybody see that? Can everybody see the 3 spinning tops? The 1, 2, and 3 spinning tops that we can see here? So, I mean, this does look like a sell signal to me. Obviously, because of the spinning top, this also happens to be a level of support as well. So, there is some confluence there. So I want to be cautious because obviously that's a level of support, as is this right here, of course, not to mention the levels of support we're currently at, starting with resistance of this most recent spinning top range, which, resistance becomes support, right? Once we break to the other side of it, resistance becomes support. So, now we're starting to break back through. That's great. So, I want to be aware of these levels. These aren't a game changer, though. So I need to wait for the close of this candle. If this candle were to close looking exactly the way it does right now, for example, though, with the T3 lines doing exactly what they're doing, chances are you'd actually get an official cross out there on the T3s, which would solidify the signal. And I would use that as my entry candle, measure it out, set it up, bada bing, bada boom. What's it that Robin says? I love the smell of a trade in the morning. I'll have you guys know I have a brand new Tassimo coffee machine in my office. And so I've just made myself my own Costa Latte just before coming on air. And oh boy, oh boy. Right. So the other one I wanted to have a look at, I said, was potentially giving off a sell signal, was pound dollar. So we'll take a look there. Pound Aussie, interestingly, might also be giving something by way of a sell signal there. We'll have a look at that. Although, we are in the buy zone I had set up, but we'll talk about that. We'll come back to that. Let me go to the pound dollar first, and then we'll go into pound Aussie. Thank you, Bobby. Oh yeah, no, the coffee maker is a great investment. I have to look into the. I know Tassimo do a recycling program for the little pods though, so got to look into that and get signed up for that definitely. So that's the one thing I'm not crazy about, the plastic waste with the pods. But the coffee is amazing. Oh, Robin, okay, I love the sound. Yeah. Well, yeah, smell works just as well, doesn't it? That's what got me onto the coffee machine. Anyway, right, pound dollar. Let's have a look at pound dollar. So I'm gonna come out, and we need to update this a little bit. I also need to get a sense of where we are and try to granulate this a little bit further. Well, Actually, no, I don't. Now I can see exactly where we are. Okay. So currently we have a down capital AB boundary. Okay. And in case you're curious, I will delete the superfluous fibs so you can see exactly the AB boundary I'm talking about. Okay, so the down capital AB boundary is right here with my down capital A at 128.28, thereabouts. 128.28.5 to be precise. Okay, and this is my down capital A. Oops. Capital A boundary. There we are. Okay, so down capital A boundary. And I'm going to change this, of course, to white as well. Keep everything nice and color-coded and succinct. 120.84 is going to be my B, my down capital B. So 120.847 is what I'm looking at. So 120.847. And that, of course, is my down capital B boundary. And so inside of this down capital AB boundary, you can see I have a maximum 69.4% retracement, or at least I did. We're going to have to update that, as you can see. But what that means is that I'm anticipating a capital D extension down at 117.57. Now, having said that, obviously that's just the start, right? That's just what we can see from the start. The very first thing we need to do is update this retracement level, because now, rather than a maximum of 69.4%, I think we're actually looking at a maximum of 78.6% rather, which of course changes things, because obviously, you know, that changes where that anticipated capital D extension is going to go, right? Obviously, because rather than a 144, it's going to go to a 127, or at least we're going to anticipate a move to the 127. So I'm going to go ahead and update this. I've got to find which is the higher of the two, and I believe it's this one. Yep. And I'm going to change this to green, because I do believe it is a maximum 78.6. So I'll go ahead and change it up all now. And then if I need to change it, no big deal, I'll change it. But I am going to double check, because it's important to double check everything, always, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and double check. So I've got a maximum of 78.6% right there. Let's come back here and double check that that is indeed the level. And oh no, no, it is not. Have a look at that. See why it's important to double check. Actually, this has come back to an 86%. This has actually come back to an 86%. So in terms of, you know, for my guys who are more swing traders, you know, this is what we refer to as a blackjack setup, right? If we can find a sell setup in this region where price is currently kind of hanging out, if we can find a really strong definitive sell setup, and you know, for the more conservative players, that may mean you know, waiting it out a little bit to give the market a chance to give an even stronger signal, which obviously means, you know, it'll cost you a couple of pips here and there. But for a lot of traders, to be honest, myself included, a couple of pips here and there is a worthwhile cost to pay, right? I'd rather pay a couple of pips here and there for the sake of a much stronger signal than get in on a shaky signal and it costs me, you know, then costs me 10 times, 20 times what those couple of pips would have cost had I just waited, right? So that's the way I kind of look at things. But I digress. That's just a kind of side note there on risk management. But at this level, you know, if we're finding a really solid sell signal, then I can throw a stop loss above that down capital A at 128.28. I can throw a stop loss 15 pips above there, which is my safest place to do so, and then look for the sell setup, and obviously look to target that 118. I would go 10 pips in front of the anticipated 118, which in this case is at 119.50. So I'd look to target around 119.60 for the down capital. Okay. So obviously I need to change this here as well. I need to change it again. So let's do that. So now this is my maximum 86%. Go ahead and change the color and everything. There we go. Maximum of 86%, which means I'm anticipating a target down at 119.50, like say, so 119.508 to be exact. Now, does that mean, right? Because some people will hear that, and they'll hear that to they'll think that to mean, okay, Chris is saying, I'm selling pound dollar right this second, and I'm going to put my stop above the A, and I'm going to go for the big swing, and that's not what I'm saying, right? I'm just saying this is what I would be looking to do. Obviously, we need to drill down, get a bit more granular, and have a look at price action, current price action, to see, what's going on, and to help us put everything into context, and then look for the signal, right? We're still in the analysis phase, and it's important I stop and just reiterate that, okay? Because I don't want you to get the wrong idea here. We're still in the analysis phase, okay? So I've down capital A, B boundary down capital B, maximum 86% retracement. So this is my anticipated 118. And now, this is all obviously a ways away, because this has been going on for a while. We've been, part of the same down capital AB boundary for a while. And in terms of the subs, I mean, the subs are no help, because the subs, we have an unfulfilled sub 38.2% to the downside here at 118.07. So, I mean, it points toward, because that's a sub crown right there. We're actually in the middle. Right now, we're in the midst of a sub-crown AB boundary that can't really make its mind up as to whether or not it wants to, come down and form that right tip or not. I mean, there's a chance that this just keeps going to its sub 2.618 at 129.78. In which case, forget about that capital down AB boundary. I mean, that just blows the capital down AB boundary right out of the water, right? But in the event that down capital AB boundary is not being blown out of the water, then we're looking at a scenario where I've got an unfulfilled sub 38.2% at 118.07, and previously there was good convergence here, because we had an anticipated 144 at 117.57, so exactly 50 pips away. Now in this case, this is no longer the case, because obviously it's not an anticipated 144 anymore. It's now an anticipated 118, which is set at 119.50, right? So rather than 50 pips off, it's 150 pips off. So I mean, not a big deal, not the biggest deal in the world, but less confluence than before. The fact still remains that there is an unfulfilled sub 38.2%, and as long as that remains the case, I am going to be of the mindset that there is opportunity to the downside. Now, of the mindset, not, I didn't say of the conviction, right? I just said of the mindset. So I'm going to be looking at this with, an open mind towards selling opportunities. In the shorter term, okay, let's come in closer here. Obviously, this innermost trend line needs to be updated, because we now have a new higher high. So let me go ahead and do that now. Let me go ahead and update this innermost trend line. And that's going to fall to around about there. And then we can draw another one, an aggressive innermost, and depending on this high right here, let me just come in a bit closer and verify this. So the high here is 127.31, and then we've got 127.29. Yeah, so that's perfect. So this is in fact the innermost trend line. We do actually have a break, okay, which supports the sell signal. So all of that to say, I'm not opposed to trying to take advantage of any potential downward moves. And in this particular case, I do think there's some opportunity here. And as you can see with the break of the innermost trend line, we know based on the Ultimate Forex Trading course, we know that the next plausible move for the market is to make its way to the next trend line, right, to the secondary trend line, which again, supports a sell. So the existing signal, as I mentioned, is in fact the sell. So let's go back and find that signal. The signal I'm getting here is a sort of a reaffirmation of the original signal, right? But the original signal actually happened back here, and it actually happened off of this candle. So there's a possibility, obviously we're going to find out now, but before even looking at this, there's a possibility that this hasn't even been taken in yet, right? So this is still an active signal that hasn't even, wouldn't have even triggered, right? And so I'm going to move this up to 127.28, potential stop. I'm going to drop this one down to 126.93 for potential entry. Okay, so actually, no, it did. It would have triggered. Look, it would have triggered at 2:30 this morning. So, but now we're getting a secondary. This is like confirmation of the signal. Okay, and for even further confirmation, I mean, we've got confirmation all over the place because we have justification for some counter trend lines in here. We have 1, 2, 3 bullish, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullish, right? And all we need is a minimum 1, 2, 3 bullish to draw a counter trend line. So, there is plenty of justification for downside opportunity here. I actually do like the look of this. I want to see, how much is at risk, and then of course where the target would be. But so far, I do like, initially, I am liking the look of this. So let's have a look. So 127.28 and 126.93. That's 35 pips in risk, which means I should be going after 52 in reward, which means 126.40, 126.40, which is not bad at all. Very interesting. I like it. I'm going to take it. I am going to go ahead and take this. So bear with me, everybody, as I do. I'm going to set this up. So this was 35 pips in risk, wasn't it? Yes, 35 pips. Okay, so 127.28 once again. Ooh, I may have to take this at market. It's right on it. Literally right on it. 126.93. I'm sitting right on it. Let's see if it'll let me. Okay, so it did let me still. Huh. All right, so it let me place the pending order, which is good, but then it's immediately already taken me in, which is also good because, like I said, I do like the look of this. But what's good about that, the reason I still tried for the pending order is because I got the exact entry point I was looking for. So my exact entry point is 126.93 on this. So a little trick that I pretty much always do. I always try to go for the pending if I can help it. Then I get exact orders. So in any event, I'm in now, active on pound dollar, just like that. And with pound CAD, have a look. there she goes. There she goes. So like I say, I'm waiting for the close of this candle. It's broken right through that first level of resistance there, that first spinning top boundary level of resistance. It's testing that first level of support. And it's, you know, simultaneously, it also happens to be inside of the second spinning top boundary and right at support of the third spinning top boundary. So you can see, and you can actually see that translating into a pause in movement there. You can see, right? You can see the price hesitation there. So good amount of support there. So I do think a sell is coming for pound CAD. I really do. I just don't think it's quite there just yet. Okay. Let me have a look at the euros. Let's see what the euros are up to. Okay, so interestingly on Euro Aussie, I'm going to have to take a look at that. I'm going to have to get some updates here. Yeah, so a lot of these need some updates. Euro CAD looks to be potentially giving off a sell, so I'll investigate that further in a bit. In a moment. Let me take a look. Let's see something here. Okay. All right, I'm going to start with, I'm debating starting with either Euro CAD or Euro Aussie. I think I'm going to start with Euro Aussie. So let me go ahead and pull this up. Let's see what I've got going on here. Right. Okay, so in the case of Euro Aussie, right, we have a down capital AB boundary as the result, of course, of this bear crown. All right, we have a big, beautiful bear crown. As a result of that bear crown, we also have an unfulfilled King's Crown 38.2% up at 18089. And of course, you can see all of these little sub fibs that I'm going to be cleaning up in just a moment. I'm just still getting my bearings here as to where we are. Okay, but I think I've got, yeah, okay. So you go ahead and clean this up. All right, so I'm going to start by just cleaning up some of these superfluous Fibonacci's that are no longer necessary. There we are. Okay, and so that leaves me with my subfib, my current subfib, which from what I can see looks to have, it looks as though it might have already completed its wave. Let me see here. 68.92. Yeah, so that is a maximum 38.2%, sub 38.2%. Okay, which means there's the 1.618 right there. That's what we were tracking, right? The anticipated sub 1.618 at 163.96. You can see it has actually fulfilled it. There's the official low right there. So this is my new down sub AB boundary, right? I'm just going to get in a bit closer here so we can grab the exact high I want. There we go. Okay, so you can see there's the new A, B, C, and then D. So now we have A, B, sub A rather, sub B, which means, of course, we've got an unfulfilled sub 38.2% to the upside there. Which means, of course, any buying opportunity is going to be welcome. Now, some of these trend lines can go, and some of them need updating. So like this one here can go. So can this one in here can also go. And actually, now that we have a lower low in the move, this actually needs to be updated to here, to this high, and then adjusted because it's not broken any longer. All right, let me just see something here. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this one here. Don't need this. Okay, so I'm now going to move this to 165.75, which is the value of my new unfulfilled sub 38.2%. The 165.75, and this is, of course, going to be changed to my unfulfilled sub 38.2%. Okay, and then right here at the 1.618, it looks like we found support and then started to rally. This looks like certainly a genuine attempt at a rally, but doesn't look like the bears are having it. It doesn't look like the bears are having it, at least not easily here. So in terms of my additional trend lines, right, so that's my new outermost. Now I do have some additional trend lines in here. The second one's going to go from right in here, from this high. Okay, because this is, of course, the low. And so actually this trend line goes to here. Okay, and we can see this one's been broken as well. I'm going to change the color here just to, there we go. And I'll change the color of this one as well to keep it consistent. Okay, and so we can see as the market broke this innermost trend line, right, came back for the test, found support, and ultimately has remained on this side ever since. Now, obviously, you know, we're kind of in a little bit of a difficult spot with this because, you know, right now, because we've got a lot going on. There's a lot of trend line breaks, a lot of counter trend line breaks happening, and the market just seems to be, you know, pretty choppy, pretty sideways at the moment. Okay, but I mean, I am favoring, certainly I'm favoring buying opportunities back to that unfulfilled sub 38.2%. And I'll tell you what, as long as the market holds above certain levels, so as long as the market holds above this level of support, for example, and even could even say this level of support, for example, right? As long as the market holds above these levels, then I'm going to be looking for buying opportunities still. Right? Does that make sense? As long as the market holds above these levels. If the market doesn't hold above these levels, then I'm in trouble, right? Now, there's one final thing that I can do in here, and that is, of course, these trend lines here. So there's one, and of course that's not broken, so I'm going to have to update that, and I will do in a moment. But then here's two, and actually, no, that's the low right there. So there's two. Okay, so we have one, and we have two. Now we can see the market's broken through it, but you can see it actually falls perfectly in line with that level of support I'm talking about, right? So you can see a little bit of a change. You know, you can see the MACD starting to change over to a sell. You can see out in the field starting to change over to a sell. But, you know, my point is that keeping things in context, I'm not so interested in a sell here simply because I take a sell here, right? And this is very likely to be the case as to what happens, right? Very likely. Because we've got support here, and we've got support, you know, in a couple of different ways. So, again, point here is, you know, as long as the market holds above these levels here, 161.61, and then got another level here at 161.38, then I'm not interested really in a sell. I'm going to be more you know, favorable toward a buy and continued buying opportunities up toward that unfulfilled sub 38.2% up at 165.68. Okay. So that is Euro Aussie. And then I did say I want to take a look at Euro CAD as well. So let me go ahead and take a look at Euro CAD. I'm just scanning around still as well. Yeah, okay, so let's take a look at Euro CAD now. Okay, and so now obviously, you know, this needs a little bit of updating here as well. Some of these lines don't matter anymore, right? Some of these lines just need updating, like this one here needs an update because we obviously have a new higher high. So this is the new trend line right here. You can see it's obviously broken, so we need to change that as well. Okay, and then just like with everything else, I want to get a sense. I mean, obviously, it's a CAD pair. Not at all surprised. We're in the range. Kind of goes without saying, right? You have this large consolidation range here, and the market likes to be in it. Likes to be in the range, right? Big shocker there. The capital AB boundary here is in fact up. Okay, we have a capital AB boundary. I've got a maximum 50% retracement at 15054, which means my anticipated 1.618 is up there at 1.6069. So I'm bullish, you know, on this medium to longer term, all the way up to 160.69. Obviously, unless things change, right? For now, based on the available information, I am bullish up to 160.69. Now, subs are down, and it looks like we had a maximum sub 69.4%. Is that still true? I believe it is. Yeah, it sure is. And we're just very sideways. We're just very, very sideways. So, I mean, everything about the analysis from before still holds. Nothing wrong here in terms of the analysis. We're just very, very sideways. So it's, we got to focus on the short term here. Now, speaking of short term, we had a situation where the market came back to test, right? So market broke back into the boundary here, into this consolidation range, rather, should I say. Here's support in the range. So the market broke into the range, then came back for the test, and upon testing, went sideways, tested a couple of additional times, right? So we had 1, 2, 3, 4 separate tests of this level right in here. 4 separate tests, 1, 2, 3, 4, right, of this support level. Then a big rally, right, almost all the way back up to resistance inside of the range. We didn't quite get there, though, and instead the market came back. It sold off all of the gains it had made, came back, broke through the trend line, and now we're on approach to this support level once again. I do think there's room for this to make it to the support level. I don't know that there's much room for a continued selling opportunity beyond that, okay? I think what's likely to happen here, because this is a CAD pair and this is what we see the Canadian crosses doing virtually all the time, is we'll see a big move like that. Every once in a while we'll see a big spike like that, but then it's almost immediately followed by consolidation, right? We almost immediately go sideways. So spike, sideways, spike, sideways, spike, sideways, spike, sideways, and so we're still, a little bit in that sideways phase. I reckon we probably come down, touch support again, get another spike bullish, okay, or at least a spike to come back to test the backside of this trend line, which of course we would be considering as resistance, right? So at present, I think, just my own personal opinion on EuroCAD, I think at present, this is one of those sit on the sideline for a little bit longer pairs and see what happens, and then, react to what happens. Just because, there's just a little bit too much going on right now, not a clear enough, sign, not a clear enough signal as to what's going to happen immediately next, right, or what's likely to happen immediately next. So I would wait. Personally, I would wait, right? Okay, let me just come back over to the pounds here for a moment and just have a look. So, okay, pound Aussie giving off a sell. Now I actually did want to take a look at pound Aussie, so we'll take a look at that momentarily here. Pound CAD, before we do, I just want to show you this quickly. Pound CAD, we've been talking about these spinning top boundaries, right? Look. Look, look, look. 1, 2, 3. We came through to all the boundaries, but ultimately, right, have a look. Support in this boundary is holding. Look, price has been rejected, at least to now. We got 3 minutes to go to the close of the candle. Price is so far rejected, right? You can also see the uptick in the white T3 here, which breaks my market into a buy zone and sell zone for me, right? So you can see the price rejection occurring right there. This is obviously a level of support. Even if this closes beyond, chances are that the next move here is a pullback to test, right? It's a very good, very, very good probability of that happening. Right. I want to take a quick look at pound Aussie, and then we're going to have to wrap up for the morning. So with pound Aussie, okay, I've been tracking this zone in here, hence the green box. And I've been saying, I'm taking a look for buying opportunities in this zone. And you can see I don't quite have the buying opportunity I'm looking for just yet, because when I say buying opportunity, that I'm looking for, what I mean by that is we have an unfulfilled 38.2% to the upside there at 198.59, right? So obviously a long ways away, but certainly a very valid medium to longer term target. And so medium to longer term, I'm bullish on this up to 198.59. In the shorter term, right, obviously, this is a case where we have a one toe in the water, super shallow retracement, right? Where, we have less than a 23.6%. Market then falls to one of the extension levels, whether it's, the 144, the 1618, even the 127 or the 118, whichever it may be, then finds support in a downtrend, in an uptrend finds resistance, and comes back into the AB boundary and ultimately goes for that unfulfilled 38.2. Well, that's what we see here. It's also what I see in terms of the subs. I've got an unfulfilled sub 38.2% as well. But as you get closer and take a look, obviously, we are consolidating here quite a bit. We do have a bit of a range going on inside of this zone, if you like. And so, you can see where we're bouncing between support and resistance, support and resistance, support and resistance, right? Now we're at resistance. We're U-turning at resistance. We've got a sell signal setting up here, and I can potentially take this back to support, right? All right, everybody. With that being said, that about does it for us this morning. I want to thank you all for joining me. Once again, happy Monday, everybody. I hope everyone enjoyed the weekend. I hope you're all staying safe out there and you're all doing well. I will see you all again on Wednesday. Of course, same place, same time. Until then, you know the drill, folks. To your health, wealth, and happiness always. This is Christopher Guzman signing out and saying good day. Take care, my friends. See you Wednesday. Bye-bye.